I am live. Happy Friday. Hey, y'all. Come on in. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. And on your way in, hit the like button if you will. We are live. We are live. Hey, everybody. Come on in. We're going to talk about it. We are going to talk about it. Let me see your faces in the places. And yes, I did bring my glasses tonight because we're going to read about it. If I have to read to myself, because I started reading it and I was like, no, I'm going to read it with my peeps in the Black Link experience. And let's just read it and talk about it together since I haven't been live in a while. So here we are. Here we are. Come on in, welcome in, hit the like button as you come in. I would appreciate it so very much. We're trying to get to 10K. It's been a little struggle, but we'll get there. We're going to get there. How's everybody? Happy Friday. How is everybody doing? We're going to talk about Danielle Smith. She was a former editor at Vibe magazine, and she's talking about her experience with Diddy. So we're going to talk about it. If you in here, say hi to me. Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. Come on in. Leave your comments. Share the video for me. If you will, hit the like button. This is the Black Link Experience. I am your girl, Marva B, and we are all here for it. We're here for it. So I'll give everybody a few minutes just to get in. I didn't even really announce it. I kind of posted it. Hi, Carolyn Bell. Hi, thank you for being here. Welcome to the Black Link Experience. I cannot wait to get started on this read. As I was saying, we're going to be reading the article that came out today from the former editor of Vibe magazine. So just going to let some more people come in before we get started. We're going to read and talk about it. Hope you're doing good today. Hope you're doing good. Happy Friday, everybody. When you come in the room, just let me know you're here by saying hello, hi, here for it, whatever. Let me know you're here. It's Friday. We made it through another week. Thank you, God. We made it through another week. And we are live. We haven't been live in a minute. We are live. So, what are you guys drinking on this Friday evening? I'm drinking Pepsi. Thank you. That's all I drink, Pepsi and water. So cheers to y'all. Cheers to another Friday, making it through another week. We got a lot to talk about on this. And I just want to give people a few more minutes to get in. I know as the live goes on, people will stop by, come, stop in, leave, stop in. That's okay. Because we're going to get this done tonight. We're going to get it done tonight. By the way, for my people that are familiar with me, yes, I brought my glasses tonight so that I can read and I can see. So I do have my glasses. Hey, Harlem. Hey, you made it in. Hi there. How are you? Thank you for coming. We are live and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. So if you will, you guys share it, hit the like button, let us know you here. When you come in the room, say hi, say here for it, say something. Let me know you here. Yes, girl. Yes, girl. Got my glasses because we're going to read this tonight and I got to see. I got my glasses. Yes, ma'am, I do. I couldn't do it without my glasses. I couldn't have done it, so I had to have them. I was just saying, if you here and you familiar with me, y'all know I do not like to put my glasses on, but I have to have them. So we're going to read. But anyway, So tonight, again, welcome to the Black Link Experience. Hit the like button, hit the thumbs down button, however you're feeling tonight. Just let us know that you're here. And if you will interact with us in the comments, we're going to read this article that just came out today. Danielle Smith is her name. She is the former editor of Vibe magazine. Now, you guys also know that Vibe magazine was part of the recent lawsuit that was brought against Diddy. And so we have this article now that came out today, and we're just gonna read about it and talk about it. So I'm gonna put my glasses on. Harlem, if it's just me and you, we just gonna talk about it. So anyway, let's get started. I don't know who all have seen it and read it and know about it, but we're gonna talk about it again. So this is by Danielle Smith again. She talks about in this article, she talks about sitting with Kim Porter and how Diddy stormed in, dump her purse out. We'll talk about that. She talks about sitting with Cassie and how Cassie acted like she wanted to say something, but she didn't. They both wanted to say something, but they didn't. And I just wonder how many times, either one of the ladies any lady that he was with and allegedly abused or was a narcissist too, or any staff member that wanted to say something but was so scared because of the threats that he made. And everybody know that he was a dangerous person. He was a dangerous person. So especially in these times. So we're going to go ahead and talk about it. And we're going to read. So her title is I knew Diddy for years. What I now remember haunts me. So she had like a bad experience in, at this time, he wasn't Brother Love. He wasn't P. Diddy. He was Puff Daddy. Okay. So looking back on my life as a woman in the music industry, I'm unsettled by the inescapable sexism perpetrated by Sean Combs and others. Hold on. Let me, so I don't get interrupted. I'm going to put do not disturb on there. Okay. A thing happened between Sean Combs and me. Unlike what he has been accused of over the last 8 months, what occurred between us was not sexual. It was professional. So we know that he has a lot of staff members that came out and said a lot of stuff about him too. So not that she worked on his payroll, but she worked with him, of course, through Vibe magazine. But anyway, I'll keep reading. Unlike what he has been accused of over the last 8 months, what occurred between us was not sexual. It was professional, demonstrative of the way dynamic and demeanoring men moved in our heyday. Combs and I worked together a lot, competed in our way. So often I thought I came out on top. I was mistaken. I had reason of fear for my life. What happened was insidious. It broke my brain. I forgot the worst of it for 27 years. It was July 1997. In the fading smoke of the murders of Tupac Shakur and Notorious B.I.G., I was named editor-in-chief of a music magazine called Vibe. Started by Quincy Jones and Time Inc. in 1992, the magazine chronicled Black music and culture with rigor and beauty, 10 issues a year for an audience that was relentlessly undeserved. When I took over, we thought hip hop might have died with our heroes, and we were determined not only to keep it alive, but to also give it the culture credit it was due. Hip hop was both in mourning and in marketing meetings. Combs, Biggie's creative partner and label boss, was the personification of this dichotomy. His Bad Boys Records was having a $100 million year, much due to the works of Biggie and Maze, as well as Combs' on debut album, No Way Out, which was anchored by the blockbuster Biggie tribute. The blockbuster Biggie tribute, I'll Be Missing You, featuring Faith Evans. Our single, It's All About the Benjamins. Other singles, It's All About the Benjamins and Being Around the World, functioned as a score of hip hop's megawatt moment, its commercial evolution and international expansion. No Way Out would go on to sell over 7 million copies. So I wanted Combs on the cover of Vibe's December 1997, January 1998 double issue, and I wanted him to wear white feathered wings. And here you see Faith Evans and him. Oh, y'all might not can see because my light. Faith Evans and him. And it says, Faith Evans and Sean Combs filming 1997 videos for I'll Be Missing You in memory of the notorious B.I.G. Evans' husband. So she went on to say, my point of reference was the poster for Heaven Can Wait, a 1978 film starring Warren Beatty. The movie is about a quarterback who dies before his time and is reincarnated as an India's synchronatic and, oh my gosh, all these words, and callous billionaire. Vibe's working cover line for Saka Jenkins' article was the good, the bad, and the puffy. Not so elegant, but it would work if the fashion director Emil Wilbekin and I got Combs, then known as Puffy or Puff Daddy, to put on the angel wings. And if we also got a shot that looked even slightly mischievous, we could do a split run of the cover, one with heavenly signifiers, and another with hellish ones. Possible cover line: bad boy, what you gonna do? Bad boy, what you gonna do? Okay, got it. The photo shoot took place in Manhattan in September 1997. I had probably said hello to Combs at an event, but the shoot was the first time I was around him for an extended period. Either it was a crowded set or I just felt claustrophobic. I wore yoga pants and an oversized t-shirt. I remember wanting to minimize my bust more than my bra was already doing. I remember cajoling something. And I remember knowing that as a Black woman, I was in a no-win situation. To fail was to live up to my male boss's low expectations, and to succeed was to invite their resentment. That day, Combs was compliant. We finally got him to shrug on the white feathered wings. He cooperated up to a point, but eventually his controlling ways took hold. A few days later, Combs wanted to see the Vibe covers before they went to press. It wasn't our policy to show covers before publication. Me either. I don't show covers before my publication. But anyway. So after I told him no, we heard that he planned to come to our office and force us to show him what we'd chosen, and to make us choose something else if he didn't like what he saw. I'm sure I was concerned, but my priority was getting the issue to the printer on time. There was vague talk about Combs beating a woman at the Bad Boy offices. In 1996, he was found guilty of criminal mischief for threatening a New York Post photographer with a gun. Combs was also busy denying that he had something to do with. That's a typo. He had something to do with the 1996 killing of Tupac Shakur. In September 1997, Combs had a reputation for shaking tables. I'd reconciled the rumors with his relevance, and the math was ugly and simple. I had to have him on the cover. So a few Vibe employees put together a plan to keep me safe if he chose to visit that day. I was in my office on the third floor of a building on the boring corner of Lexington and 32nd Street. A few doors away from me, Vibe's research chief, Ava Chen, was with the managing editor, Jesse Washington, in his office with her back to the open door. Jesse looked over her head as if someone was behind her. Jesse stood up. He was 6'4", and Ava saw him trying to make himself even taller, as though he was squaring off. So she turned towards the door and saw Combs with two security dudes. Combs asked, "Where's Danielle?" The receptionist had already notified other colleagues that Combs had walked into the editorial bullpen. As he and his two associates looked into various cubicles and offices, my coworkers eased into mine. Paper proofs of the cover story and both the angelic and devilish covers were on my desk. I grabbed the unruly stack of 11 by 7s. Staff members shuttled me from office to office to the spiral staircase and the alternate second floor elevator bank. I made it to 32nd between Lexington and 3rd Avenue, clutching the proofs. Jesse eventually came down. He took the pages from me, flagged a taxi, and put me in a yellow cab home to Brooklyn. Uh-oh. Y'all see, I was trying to show y'all the covers. My light is in the way. I don't know if you can see it. So there's the covers. The Angel and Devil covers of December 1997, January 1998 double issues of Vibe. The next day, though, I was right back in the office. My assistant received a call on my line. It's Puffy, she said. I got my mind right. I got my mind right and picked up. He was still on message. He wanted to see the covers. I was still on message. It's not what we do. It was then that Combs told me, as I've retold you hundreds of times over the years, that he would see me dead in the trunk of a car, not missing a beat. I told him he needed to take that threat back. Take it back, I said, sounding as if I were 10. Take what back? Then with a vile laugh, expletive. You take it back now, I said, or I'm calling my lawyer and you're going to jail. He said, I know right where you are right now, right on Lexington. I called my personal lawyer. I do not know what he said to Combs. Within 2 hours, Combs faxed over an apology. One of my male bosses was furious that I had not involved him. Combs had called him to complain that I sicked my lawyer on him, as if I somehow wasn't playing fair. Soon after those menacing encounters, I walked into work one morning to find my staff members tamping down panic. A couple of servers, which back then were as big as end tables and twice as heavy, had been stolen. And the scuttlebutt was that the theft was an inside job. So basically what she's saying is that Combs, that he wanted to see the covers of the magazine and she wouldn't show him because that's not their process. So somehow, some way, they got stolen. So she's saying they were gone. And they believe that it was an inside job, that somebody on the inside, yes, too many people allowed him to carry on this way. And that's why he did it. And that's where it begins, because they allowed him to do it, but they were so scared. They were scared of him. They were scared of his people. And so that's someone on Vibe's publishing side had let in movers from Bad Boys. It was almost time to send pages to the printer, and the whole issue was saved on those servers. All the editorial changes, all the pages with the advertising adjacent agencies and that had been paid for by clients, gone. In response to fact-checking inquiries, Combs, via representatives, would not comment on the record for this piece. So he wasn't saying nothing. It was mute. He was on mute. I've always remembered the threatening call. I mentioned it in my memoir, Shine Bright, though I got wrong the reason for his vexation. But I repressed the rest. The only reason I know the details is a chance meeting I had at McDowell Artist Residency this May. Ava Chen, who is now an author and professor of creative nonfiction, who was also there. I hadn't seen her in decades. Ava asked me early in residency if I was ever going to write about Vibe. I said, yes. And I said, yes. And she said, good. Then just before I left, I mentioned that I was writing about Combs and told her that he said he would see me dead in the trunk of a car. In the previous months, accusations of this serial abusive woman, which had been rumored for years, had surfaced. And I was thinking about my professional relationship with him. I asked her if she remembered the tense situation. Over her turkey club, Ava said, I absolutely remember. She wasn't privy to the phone conversation, but she knew other details. She told me my own story. I don't remember being shuttled from office to office. Shuttled is Ava's words. The entire memory had been removed from my mind, like the servers that were stolen from the offices. I wanted someone else to validate the story. So from the rear garden of McDowell's main building, I FaceTimed Jesse Washington, who is now a journalist and filmmaker. When he confirmed Ava's recounting, I stared at the long green meadow processing. The fact that two people had to tell me my story about myself was mortifying. It made me question my own truths. I was flooded with questions about my own experiences and vulnerability, victimhood, ambition, fear, and regret, and what all of it means with regard to my professional and personal legacies. Considering this nauseating image of myself running and hiding from Combs, of people at work protecting me, made me confront other things I'd possibly repressed about that feral and fantastic time in my life. To be a powerful woman in the music industry and in hip hop media specifically exacted a toll I've resisted reckoning with. It's so much easier, frankly, to tell other people's story. As a journalist, I have learned how to get people to recall stuff they would rather forget or keep to themselves. It's an art tart with betrayal, but it's mine. And so here we are. I was thinking in the garden. Now I have to remember. I don't recollect exactly how Combs and I left things after he threatened me in 1997, but it's not as though we could stop dealing with each other. Hip hop, inching its way towards world domination, needed us to keep contributing in our respective ways. On my end, documenting its trajectory, and on his, branching out into television, liquor, and more. We interacted when necessary. Sometimes an exchange was just smiling for cameras. Two photos of us stand out to me and mark places where our journeys intersected. There's one from 1990 in which my hair is its natural dark brown, and I have on a navy and turquoise zip hoodie. I'm awkward in his embrace, still getting used to being in the limelight. The other is from October 2006. I'm 41 with my new gray cinnamon coat by the celebrity colorist Rita Hazan. My teeth have been Invisaligned and my gaze is sure. We're posing before a party celebrating both release of his album, Press Play, and the new issue of Vibe magazine. Combs is the cover star. I wrote the celebratory article. There they are. Ooh, that light is in the way. There they are. In our 2006 photo, Combs is in a black tuxedo, a black shirt, and sunglasses. In some of the shots from that night, I took discordantly joyful. In others, I took like I would rather Combs not hold me so closely or kiss me on my cheek. I was a newlywed and also a professional. I had resigned from Vibe in 1999, and when I was rehired in 2006, Combs was among the first people I called to appear on the cover. I did so because I knew the cover would both succeed at the newsstands and reaffirm to my new venture capitalist chieftains that I still had my chops and that my industry relationships were flawless. So in the series of photos, Combs and I are playing the roles of mogul and editor in chief, and we're nailing it. And she really hates it because she just got married. I've been thinking a lot about those two photos lately and all the photos of me and Combs together. It's bizarre to see myself smiling in pictures with someone accused of such heinous crimes. In November 2023, Cassandra Ventura, who performs as Cassie, sued Combs under New York's Adult Survivors Act, claiming that he r'd her, abused, and trafficked her over the span of a decade. They settled one day after Ventura filed the lawsuit, and the terms of the settlement have not been disclosed. In the ensuing months, Combs had been the subject of 7 civil lawsuits. 6 of them accused him of SA. The accusations go on as far back as 1990. After Ventura filed her lawsuit, Liza Gardner accused Combs and the R&B singer Aaron Hall of a 1990 R. Shortly after, Joy Nickerson Neal accused Combs of rugging her, you know what I'm saying, SAing her, and recording the assault without her knowledge in 1991 when she was a student at Syracuse University. A Jane Doe filed a suit in December claiming that Combs, along with his bad boy colleague Harvey Pierre and a third unidentified assailant, gang-ard her at Diddy's house, a recording studio owned by Combs in 2003. This May, April Lamprose, who was a student at the Fashion Institute of Technology, accused Combs of R-ing her 3 times in 1995 and 96. That same month, the model Crystal McKinney said that Combs invited her to Daddy's house during Men's Fashion Week in 2003 and assaulted her. Combs' lawyer has so far denied the accusations in all but the last 2 of these lawsuits. The videographer and producer Rodney Jones, also known as Little Rod, filed a federal lawsuit claiming that Combs had hidden cameras in all his properties. Things we know, we already know this, that individuals were recorded without consent, and that because of the treasure trove, a compromising video, Combs believed he is above the law. Jones also claimed that Combs threatened and S.A.'d harassed him. In one instance, he says he woke up dizzy and without clothes, with Combs and two blank workers. In a statement, one of Combs' lawyer characterized Jones' accusations as complete lies. Wow, 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 wow. So let's stop and read what you're saying. He's a real menace to society, yes, and have been for years. But people were so afraid of him because the things that he said he's going to do, he did. Like he said, I'm coming up there and I'm going to find her. Like, where is she? He went up there and somehow the files came up missing, right? They were stolen. So everybody was scared, was afraid of their lives. Harlem says she has to play along. Who knows how she has to play along. Who knows how he would have reacted if she brushed him off? Exactly. Or what would have happened if he would have found her in the studio that day? Never know. Last December, Combs took to Instagram writing. Excuse me, y'all. Last December, Combs took to Instagram writing, I did not do any of these awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth. Then on March 17th, a 2016 surveillance video obtained by CNN showed Combs in a white towel attacking Ventura in the Intercontinental Hotel. In the clip, he hits, shoves, and kicks Ventura, who was his girlfriend at the time. He drags her limp body. In this video, the body language that makes him so singular as a performer and on Bon Vivid gives him completely away. On May 19th, Combs did a 180 seeming to change course on his claim that Ventura's accusations were baseless and outrageous lies. He shared a recorded apology on Instagram feed. My behavior on that video is unexcusable, he said. I take full responsibility of my accusations in that video. In late June, Combs deleted all of the posts on his Instagram page, including the apology. In past times, I attended Combs' large music industry parties in New York City, the Hamptons, Miami. To be clear, he has never acted in any way sexually inappropriate towards me. I have slammed shots with him at Rockefeller Center and the Rock Nation brunch. Combs is a genius. He is also sincere in his ambition and in his malevolence. In the entertainment industry, none of this makes him unusual. It's shameful and whack for me not to have known fully. I consider myself a hard-hitting journalist. At the time, I broke stories about predation in the music business. In 1994, when I was the music editor in Vibe, the investigative team that I was part of figured out that the 27-year-old R. Kelly had married the 15-year-old Aaliyah. We got our hands on the license, and the photographer Dana Lichtenberg and I chased Kelly to a tour stopped in Philadelphia. I wrote the cover story that verified what had only been wild rumors about the S crimes. It's easy to think of the 90s as aughts, as a strange time. I could, in the space of a day, be working on an R. Kelly article, editing a piece about hip-hop feminism, and then be at one of Combs's or most anyone's shindigs, not knowing what was happening in the very next room. All of this has been normal since the dawn of pop. To report S misconduct, whether it was an attorney's or law enforcement or even your supervisor, often meant losing your job, being ostracized, or being a girl that just didn't get it or didn't know how to fend for herself. The music industry was and is a mean place. I agree. I've heard stories, Harlem. Journalists were being threatened at recording studios and stomped in their own offices. In spring of 1999, the music executive Steve Stout claimed that Combs and two bodyguards attacked him over the way Combs was depicted in a music video. He said that Combs punched him in the face and hit him in the head with a telephone and champagne bottle. Stout later asked the court to drop the charges after Combs publicly apologized and pleaded guilty to the harassment. Not only were many rank and file workers in our businesses, men and women alike, jittery about our physical and emotional safety. See, that tells it right there. They were scared for their safety. They were scared. His mother moved him to Mount Vernon to keep him away from the streets of Harlem after his father was killed, and it didn't work. No, it didn't work. He went back. And she says we were jittery about our physical and emotional safety. We were enlisted to boost the egos of these very artists and executives who felt entitled to violate us. That's sad. So while they're violating me, I'm boosting them up, making them think that they are the king of the world. They are all that, but yet I'm being violated. Ugh, I would have had to walk away. I would have had to walk away. We become, but everybody does something differently. Everybody takes it differently. It's their income, it's their livelihood. That's where they make their money. So, that's hard. It's hard to say. So anyway, we became used to playing the game. We were conditioned to look the other way, or when looking when looking at something straight ahead, to not see it for what it was, or even to unsee it. In our 2006 interview, Combs said, "Somebody gave me multiple choices earlier on, having a smooth working relationship, having a personal life, or being in the music industry. I chose the music industry." Same, Puff, same. Too many of us did. Too many of us did. We wouldn't have thought of ourselves as ambivalent or numb then, but that's what we were. A lot of us women wanted our fair shot at winning. There were dues to pay. We paid dearly. I want her to elaborate on that. Like, what did you have to do specifically? If you're going to tell your story, tell us specifically, what did you have to do? You said we paid dearly. What did that look like? Like, what did he do to you? You said he didn't essay you. He didn't even approach you in that way. But what did he do? Like, I want to know. He has a lot built up anger, and we know nothing about his childhood life. Why is he so angry? Yeah, I wonder what happened, because he loved his mom, but then they said he did disrespect his mom too. So I don't know. We don't know. We just don't know. There's no party cooler and more insanely fun than a music industry party, right? The trade salts and sugars its women and devours them like hors d'oeuvres. Our bodies are not our own. Breasts and asses are meant to be squeezed anonymously from behind at crowded bars where real and difficult work is being celebrated. Wow. Some girls survive, dried out or skeletal or just tough. Some women, via luck or brilliance or exfoliation, excel. Some marry in, others disappear. The business, moving at its seductive breakneck pace, spits them out. Let me get a drink, y'all. Happy Friday. Cheers to y'all. I have Pepsi. What you drinking on? Thank y'all for being here. As you come in, please hit the like button for me. Let's get the likes up, please. Say hi to me when you come in, if you will. Right. He was abused in some kind of way. He has too much money not to get help. That's right. And that's what's happened. So I did a video a while back about when you go through something, when you're traumatized in your childhood and you don't get the help that you need, kind of like R. Kelly, right? We know his childhood. We heard about it. He was traumatized. But never got help for it. And then it just carries on into your adulthood. And then you start violating other people because you're angry or because of whatever reasons, right? And so you have to get the help you need, and you got the money, go get the help you need. But they don't think that they need help. And that's the sad part, when people don't know, especially a narcissist. A narcissist does not think anything is wrong with them. They don't think they need help. It's something wrong with everybody else. And that's pretty much what a narcissist thinks and does. So back to the story. Some women, okay, in the business moving at its seductive breakneck pace spits them out, chews them up and spits them out. And I hear that so much when I do interviews with people in the business, in the entertainment realm, whether it's performing the music, whether it's acting, whatever it is. I hear the same story from them and their experiences. or somebody they know that experienced it. And it's sad. Why is such a business like entertainment that's supposed to be fun, that you have so much talent that you want to just go and do what God bless you with and show your talents and do that because you have a love for it, but you got to get violated to do it. And she's saying back in those times, women had to either put up with it to get where they needed to go or needed to get in the business, or you wouldn't see them, they disappear. Like, where are they? What you mean by disappear? Did they disappear like they just left, or did somebody like, I don't know. It's crazy. Many female executives and top-level creative types started as standout students, interns, administrators, and receptionists. We communicated in the posh ladies' room, in hip restaurants, and in nods and fleeting eye contact in office buildings. One intern said she was hesitant to speak to me because the guys downstairs told me you were such a bitch and that you hate pretty girls. I was a bitch because I had heard that the sales guys were using their offices as late night no-tell motel rooms. This woman remembered that I used to look away from her when she passed me in the hallways. Oh my gosh. It was weird though, she said, because you seemed nice. It was weird, and I was nice as I could be when I could be. Ambition in an industry that pretends scarcity must make monsters of women who wanted to be what was back then called big willies, a euphemism for large private parts. Vibe honchos organized big willie panel discussions at industry seminars. This when female artists and executives were working twice as hard for less money and only whispered credit. This is when so many wives and girlfriends of male stars succeeded in the music business by formally or informally managing their parents' careers without professional kudos or full payment. Even the work of being a muse is usually grimy and unprotected. So Harlan says, I remember you met R. Kelly. I remember you met R. Kelly. I felt he saw some behaviors as normals because he was abused as a young age. It kind of stunted his growth, maturity in some areas, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I did meet him, and I met him personally, and yeah. Take Kim Porter, for example. Porter, who died in 2018, was a model and sometimes actor. Combs is the father of 3 of her children. On a late autumn afternoon in 1998, I visited Porter at a Park Avenue apartment in a 12-story limestone building. Combs was in the process of buying. That she shared with her 2 little boys. Combs was not there that afternoon. I rarely ended up in Porter's presence, but when I did, her personality seemed a mix of feminine fatale and mean girl. So a mix of nice, but I'm a bitch. Nice, but I ain't playing these games. So she was that's how she saw Kim. The mean girl felt fueled by a broken heart. This is sad. This is so sad. Porter and I and 2 other friends eventually went to a buzzy restaurant for cocktails. Here it is, y'all. Sometime later, Combs came in. He knew all of us at the table, but didn't acknowledge us. He demanded that Porter hand over her baguette, purse, and turned it upside down. Her belongings splattered all on the table among lime, Ace, and ice crumbs. He snatched up her bank cards to the beat of, "You ain't got no business in here. You need to be at home with those kids." Combs yelled something like that. "Get home as best you can." From the sidewalk, I saw Porter being hustled into the limo in which we arrived. One of the friends, more tired than terrified, shot me a look. "You good?" And they were gone. This is one of the white parties they attended. And you see the twins and Diddy. That says Combs with Kim Porter and their twin daughters in 2007 at one of their white parties in the Hamptons. Nice. It's nice, but oh gosh. Mm-mm-mm. A woman deserves to be nurtured and taken care of, Combs told me 8 years later for our 2006 cover story. Kim taught me that. She taught me how to love. Maybe he learned that, maybe he didn't. To be honest, pressing him didn't occur to me. I had just laid off almost a dozen good people. This was the beginning of the end of print magazines, and another one of those times when I did what I had to do to keep the magazine alive. It was my job. It was also my job to hear what women were saying, even when they weren't quite saying it. So listen to this. On August 29, 2015, I was in Culver City, California at Epic Records' annual celebration of its artists. There was a lot of loud talking and drinking, and I found myself retreating to a cool alcove where the wait staff was being handed platters of tuna and Tongang spoons. In 4-inch sandals, Cassie walked over, uncharacteristically alone. So she came over there towards her. She was by herself, and she's saying normally she's never alone. Cassie was never alone, but she walked over there alone. She and Combs were rumored to have gotten engaged the year before, but there had been no wedding, and I didn't see a ring. She also hadn't released a second album after her smash single Me and You went to #3 on the Billboard's Hot 100 in 2006, despite being signed to Bad Boy for almost a decade. When I saw her in Culver City, it was about 6 months before the assault shown on CNN Intercontinental video on this. When I saw her in Culver City, it was about 6 months before the assault shown in the CNN Intercontinental video. She surprised me when she gracefully squatted so that we were eye to eye. Cassie asked how I was. She said, this is what she said. She said, "Fine, lady, fine. How are you?" Cassie says, How are you doing it? I said, "Doing what?" She said, "Like, how are you managing?" That's what Cassie asked her. She placidly awaited for an answer, and I felt myself tremble. Maybe she saw me in a fellow industry introvert, someone skilled at the Irish exit. Perhaps she wanted to know how I was still married at the time for 10 years to a man in the music and media industries. But what caused the tremble was the feeling that she had heard from mutual friends that I was SA'd a decade before by someone we both knew. Because I was paranoid, and she was still there looking at me. It felt as if she were trying to send me an extrasensory signal. I gave her a generic, "Girl, what? I'm fine. Girl, what? I'm fine." And she wasn't. We each wanted to say something. It seemed that neither of us could find the words. After a moment, she rose up on the stilettos as if she were barefoot on a soft lawn. She waved goodbye and walked back towards the fresh air. Contacted through her lawyers, Cassie had no comment. So she tried to get her to comment on the story, but she had no comment. So here you see Cassie and Diddy performing. It says Combs and Cassie Ventura performing at the 2006 MTV Europe Music Awards. Anyway, the story goes on to say, there's no safe place for an ambitious woman, not anywhere, and definitely not in the entertainment business. Men keep it dangerous so that they can keep it theirs. Once, a media executive bullied me in a bar, and despite my protest, made it clear he was going to walk me to my hotel room. It was obvious that he wanted to have S. In his pulsing nostril was resentment about the job I had. He had the focused look of a person who believes you have stolen something from him, and that something is actually you. That happened to me in the mid-90s, but it has been going on in pop music since forever. Louis McKay physically and financially abused Billie Holiday. Ike Turner physically and emotionally abused Tina Turner. Ted White beat Aretha Franklin. Jerry Lee Lewis married his 13-year-old cousin, who, when filing for divorce more than a decade later in 1970, claimed that she had been subject to every type of physical and mental abuse imaginable. Both David Ruffin and James Brown beat Tammy Terrell. The convicted killer Phil Spector locked Ronnie Spector in their home. Miles Davis's marriage to the funk singer Betty Davis reportedly ended because of what she called his violent temper. Donna Summer was abused by her boyfriend Peter Moldorfer. Dr. Dre beat the singer Michelle and the journalist Dee Barnes. Chris Brown hit Rihanna. More than a dozen women have accused Russell Simmons of SA and in some case R, all of which he denies. He also denied that he moved to Bali to avoid extradition. L.A. Reid stepped down as chief executive of Epic Records following a 2017 accusation of harassment and by an assistant. A lawsuit filed last year accuses him of SA and harassment. Tory Lanez shot Meg Thee Stallion. Last month, the producer Diplo was accused of disturbing sexual images and videos of a woman without her consent. I didn't mean to say that word. His lawyer cast doubt on the accusation. And then there are the countless women who remain unnamed or chose to be anonymous or decide not to report it at all. So she went way back in the day to up to the date to show that this is nothing new. And I think 2024 is the reckoning. Like nobody else is taking that. I mean, I'm sure somebody will continue to do it for their career or whatever, but a majority of people are not taking it no more and they're speaking up about it. I know the beats of getting beat. I was half raised by an alcoholic father figure, and I still don't know how to act. A Vibe staff member told me on her return from interviewing a musician that he assaulted her. I tried to confront her, but didn't say much that helped. I know I didn't, because years later she told me so. I stuttered and stumbled. I had no language to talk about what happened to her because I couldn't even say what happened to me. She was healing. I was still running and reeling from a work-related essay. It's a lot. You do. I'm sorry to hear that, Harlem. I never knew that, and I'm sorry to hear that. But my sister had, and it was just heartbreaking seeing her go through that. Like, no matter how many times we said, okay, it's time to go. It's time to leave. You gotta go. She didn't leave until she was ready. And I don't care how many times it took until she was ready. She didn't leave. And it's sad, but everybody handles it differently. When we have the utmost respect for people that can talk about it, that share it, because I mean, we have respect for that. No one deserves that. No one, no man, no woman deserves any of this just to have a career, just to be in the business, just to live the high life. Is it worth it? Okay, let's go on. A Vibe staff member told me on her return from interviewing a musician that he assaulted her. I tried to comfort her, but didn't say much to help. I know I did not say that. I had no language to talk about what happened to her because I couldn't even say what happened to me. She was healing. I was still running and reeling from work-related essay. She and I always kept in touch, though, and years later, she invited me to her wedding. I couldn't get myself together to attend. Supposedly, the big-time mentor lady, I was embarrassed and guilty and ragged about not being there for her, about not being the person I wish I had been there for me. Sometimes acknowledging another woman's pain forces you to stare deep at your own. So you minimize hers and you minimize yours and you just keep it moving. There was a lot of that going on. There was a lot of turn of the cheek. There was a lot of like, if you see it, just look right past it. There was a lot of don't you say nothing. There was a lot of you didn't see nothing. There was a lot of that for years upon years. Sometimes acknowledge, okay, so you minimize it, okay. As they say in books, and on t-shirts and in so many rap songs, including the Locks and Puffy's 1998 track, Can't Stop, Won't Stop. My glory days were infused with crisis. There was the not knowing and wondering. There was the not knowing, the wondering, the suspecting, the kind of knowing, the actually knowing, the acting as if you don't know. I have been a fly on the wall and a fly pinned to it. I made a career in this music business. I loved it and it almost killed me. It was a lot to hold on in my mind at once. The sadness and anxiety pushed me to nicotine and then Wellbutrin Wellbutrin. Some of my past times, including Combs stalking me at the Vibe office, had to be redacted. I blacked them out in order to keep my lights on. Oh, gosh. Some things were recovered. Back in 1997, on the afternoon, the servers were stolen from the Vibe office. It turned out that our art director had an issue on a disc she had taken home. We were able to publish our angel and devil covers of Combs. In each, he looks over the top of the dark glasses. In each, he looks as though he would continue winning for a long time. The last time I saw Combs in person, it was February 2020 at the house in Los Angeles that was raided this March by Homeland Security investigations agencies. I was invited to chat about possibly participating in a docuseries that Combs was creating about his life. I hadn't spoken to him in a while. But it comes from how you were raised. I know coming up what happens in this house stays in this house, and you just don't talk about it. That's right. You don't talk about what goes on in my house. You don't go out in the street. You say nothing. What goes on behind these doors stay. And you adhere to that. You did what you was told. And our culture still seeing counseling as being something wrong. They better get a hold of it. Combs was fresh off a star-studded 50th birthday party. I was curious about whether such a big milestone had triggered in him a desire to tell his true story. My husband and I put in place a plan of texting and pin dropping so I would never be out of touch. There was no way, though, that I wasn't going to go. 1, I'm a journalist. I'm a duty bound. 2, my ego, ambition, and expertise says that it should be me getting the big interviews, right? That's how we are. We want the big interviews. I know I want the big interviews, right? So I get it. 3, there is power and meaning in showing up. But it's how you show up, right? Show up, but how are you showing up? That's what's important. If I don't go, I can't take notes. I can't have any experiences that becomes mine through writing. So she felt she had to go. A film crew was at Combs' house. He was in a leg brace, having just undergone his 4th surgery in 2 years. This time it was to repair a quad tendon tear. This is God's work, he said on Instagram, to slow me down. His twin daughters, then 13, drifted about, concurrently blasé and inquisitive. Over a dozen of us sat in a pristine outdoor kitchen watching emotional footage. Combs introduced me to the group as a longtime journalist who asked real questions. I was surprised when he asked me when I eventually interviewed him, I would ask him first. I hesitated. He said, "Don't answer that." People laughed. I remember being glad I was part of such a large and familiar group, and even comforted a bit by the post-surgical leg brace that Combs appeared to need. I was where I was supposed to be. I'd been told since I first started going to shows on my own that it was dangerous, that someone was going to arm me or stab me or rob me or steal me. It seemed then like a conspiracy to keep me in the house from becoming myself, from knowing myself as brave. 3 weeks later, the COVID lockdown began in Los Angeles. I didn't end up participating in the documentary. Combs and I traded goodbyes in a great room overwhelmed by past times a huge painting by Kerry James Marshall. The art acrylic and collage work was created in 1997, that unfathomed year that Biggie died. Combs, the producer entrepreneur, emerged as an artist, and hip hop changed forever. It's easy to see why Combs would be drawn to such a larger than life depiction of play, freedom from labor, and influences as ordinary. There's water skiing, croquet, golfing, picnic accoutrement. On the 9.5 by 13 foot canvas are bits of lyrics from The Temptations and Snoop Dogg. The painting's inhabitants wear white, as the Who's Who did for years at Combs' Gaspian white parties. I attended a few of those. Scanning past times, I could almost smell those old coupes of evaporating champagne. The painting had carried a pre-sale estimate of $8 million to $12 million. Anonymously, Combs battled bidders as the price rose to a record-settling $21.1 million, widely reported to be the most ever paid for the work of a living Black artist. Wow. Sky is the limit, and you know that you can. Have what you want, be what you want. So goes the Bad Boy song. Perhaps every bad boy song. Sky's the limit when you're buying a picture in which you see yourself in all your glory. One that seems to float close to your own memory of the way things were. The painting sits in his home as an angelically clean version of a deeply explicit industry. Our pastimes, unironically nicknamed the golden era of hip hop, are as much folk tale as facts. Yeah, I wondered what happened to. He won't be having one now, but I wonder what happened. Did they? Because they were there actually filming. So I wonder, did they not? Were they not able to finish it? Like, what happened? I'm curious. The growing set of accusations against Combs has me angrily calling into question the fullness of my own memory and the precision of my timeline. I have already lost long stretches of my life. So what? In the grand scheme of things, is an afternoon from 1997. Actually, it's everything. I already spend a lot of time playing catch up because I've handed whole years to depression. I was a bed rotter before it was called that. I could barely hear music for the tears in my ears. Oh my gosh. It's one thing to deal with brain fog. You guzzle cold water fish oil, and you keep it moving. But I mean, to have blocked out a whole series of events is terrifying because what else is missing? What do I not know that I have not seen? What in hip hop have I not heard? I never wanted to believe that music, which saved my life as a child and teenager, reinforced my audacity in my 20s, and provided a way for me to make a living in my adulthood, could fail me. It is, in too many ways, my life. I'm so GD institutional memory. I'm the GD institutional memory. That's a cuss word, explicit. That's why I didn't say it. So it's particularly rancid that this suppressed episode has placed me in a well of self-doubt. Here I am in a familiar victim mode, disciplining myself into not taking on blame, for not knowing what I didn't know, and for managing what I did. The questions drip down on me slowly, steadily, a torture. Was my magazine too well done? Too loud? Should I have even gone into the white parties? They keep coming. Was my skirt too short? Is it possible that I stayed at the party too long? The end. The end. So, all in a magazine article, she said a mouthful, two mouthful. And that just coincides with her experience, right? Coincides with Everything everybody else is saying. Maybe, I mean, there's some different, there's her experience with Puff is a different kind, like she said, on a business level, but she was still tortured. She was still tortured. She was still having to take that, right? In order to stay in this game. And she just was looking at it. My opinion is she was just looking at it like, ain't nobody gonna break me down. Like, I don't care what they got going over here. And she just saw, she just worked through it. Even if she saw it, even if she was a part of it, even whatever, she just kept it pushing until now. And it took Cassie to come out with her story, to come out with her lawsuit the way that she did, very detailed, for all of this to come out. Because had Cassie not did that, would this author, the former Vibe magazine editor, had come and shared her story? And as she was writing this article, like she said, people had to remind her. That's just how, in the back of her mind, she put that. That's just how much she ignored the mess. They had to remind her what she went through, which caused her to question her truth, right? I don't know. I don't know. I can't say what I would have done. That was my error. Her coming up is my error. And I don't know what I would have done, because at that time I wanted to be in the business really bad. But I guess I was protected from it because maybe I was too weak for it. I don't know. But I'm sad for them. Like, reading that was sad. And you could feel it. You could like feel her through that story. You could feel her emotions through the story. You could feel her pain through the story. You could feel her guilt of not saying anything or helping another woman, not helping herself. Oh, so sad. So, you guys, there you have it. That's the article that dropped today. Miss Smith, Danielle Smith, her encounter with Diddy, her encounter in the music industry, period. No. Anyway, you guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Harlem, I appreciate everything you do. I appreciate you showing up every time. We're going to get better. People will show up. They'll come to the lives. It's my fault. I need to stay consistent. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everybody that came and stopped by to listen in. It was good. Did you see? I didn't. Let me see. Exactly. So we can only imagine those in personal relationships, what they really went through. Exactly. Because like Cassie was asking her, I wish she would have had that full blown conversation with Cassie, right? When she walked over to her. They weren't bold enough to do it. I think they wanted to, and they both were scared. Like, if I say something, what's going to happen? Or if I say something, who's going to get to it? Especially Cassie. If I say something, is Puff going to get a hold of this? What I tell her? So they were right there wanting to say something, but they were afraid. Especially Cassie. I don't know. Let me look. Oh, you sent me a couple. Hell of a former editor. Okay, I'll have to look at that. Let me go back. There's the story. One of them I couldn't load, Harlem. The second one I couldn't load. Okay. All right. So thank you for this. I'll be reporting on all of these that you send me. I appreciate it. I thank you. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. The flight log showed his plane was in Berlin. When? Today? He's in Berlin today? Girl, let me get off here and go do some research. All right, you guys, thank you for being here on this Friday evening. Happy Friday. Have a great, blessed weekend. Hit the bell for notifications because we will continue to post. We will continue to come live. We will continue to bring you stories as they evolve. Guys, remember, respect yourself, respect each other. Take care of one another. Take care of yourself. We will be back. This is the Black Link Experience. I am your girl, Marva B. Let's talk about it in the chat. Bye. Thank you, Harlem. Keep it coming.